part of the game of being a medicine.
So I have only one more.
You
I'm
are
pretty sure
fine.
this is my last one. So our job as a board is to protect the public.
Correct.
So safety issues. I don't really, to be really honest with you, I don't really care how the needling companies label their boxes. That's their problem. That's not something I can affect as a board member and the PT and OT board. I'm not saying it's not an issue. It's not my issue today.
The acupuncture, the medical board does actually does do that for us though.
That's wonderful. That's not in my jurisdiction to
No.
tell the needling company how they need to label their box.
No, but
Let's,
no.
before you go on,
So-
let's take that question and say, I do want to know how do you order needles? What do you have to give the supply company? Do you have to give them an NPI? Do you have to be a physical therapist? Could I just order a needle, or
Yeah,
what?
I'm curious about that.
What does the manufacturer ask you when you order those needles? And how hard are they to get in both disciplines?
My awareness is anybody can purchase them. I mean, I don't do the purchasing, but
Okay.
we do use the same Sarah needles that he showed there.
You don't have to give a license number. You don't have to.
You don't have to clarify that you're a PT?
I mean, yeah, I don't actually, I'm not, it's my assistant that does the actual ordering, so I don't know what she has input in there.
She's actually ordering the acupuncture needles on his prescription,
Yeah.
and she's actually doing it illegally. Because the FDA says that it has to be a person that's licensed to practice acupuncture.
Okay, so how do you order yours? You have to give them a license number. You have to.
Actually, most of the companies that we buy from, the Oriental medical companies, yes, they ask for our license number.
So the needle question,
We have to
AP.
fax coffee.
Yeah, go ahead.
So APTA, because there's a question around the country,
Yeah.
they got an outside legal counsel to come in and provide
Sure.
assistance on this, to look at this FDA medical device versus medical.
Mechanical.
Thank you, sorry. And so what it came to is, okay, so the FDA, I'll just read it. FDA stated that the acupuncture needles are used for for the use by qualified practitioners as determined by states. We believe that the FDA in doing this was clearly signaling that it would not involve itself in determining who is a qualified practitioner for the use of acupuncture needles, leaving it to the states to decide. So in other words, and then it goes on and quotes later, that this is where you guys come in. I mean, so while you guys can't determine what sticker goes on the box, you can determine if dry needling is within the scope of practice of PTs, then it is then okay by the FDA for a PT and I to use that needle.
What's wrong about that is that they, on purpose, left the word acupuncture out of that, because the actual definition inside the actual FDA, and I have it printed, there's a code, says licensed to practice acupuncture as determined by the states. So if you as a board allow your PTs to use acupuncture needles, you are allowing them to practice acupuncture. Okay? That's why we're talking a lot about DN versus acupuncture. The truth is, we haven't even gone to the fact that it's not legal for a physical therapist to use an acupuncture needle. And no matter how you call the acupuncture needle and what you're doing with it, it's not legal for a person that isn't licensed to practice acupuncture to use an acupuncture needle. So I hope that at some level we get to that, because that's actually the most important part when you talk about the legal course of it. And the APTA has been wonderful about hiring some high-priced lawyers to manipulate the words. But as you saw on our brief, I'm not a lawyer. I tore it apart. Okay, it's a very, very weak argument, because they're actually they don't have anything to stand on. All right, you can't say I can't use an acupuncture needle, because I can say right there in my license says acupuncture, the insertion of acupuncture needle.
Okay.
Okay, Erin, go ahead.
So my question, my full question was, because safety is our main issue here, and we have no demonstrated cases of physical therapists in Iowa hurting somebody by doing this, I want to know who you are so concerned about.
We as acupuncturists have actually seen the damage. Okay, so when this started happening, we were like, what is this going on? And when we as acupuncturists tell our patients, well, you should report that, do they or do they not? We don't know. And so now we have, apparently not, right?
So to me, that means that they weren't so hurt that they decided to come against the physical therapist. So,
Okay.
Are you concerned about the public?
Yes.
Are you concerned about your fellow practitioners losing their business? Are you concerned about your bottom line? I mean, what's the harm here?
The harm is actually the public in terms of safety. We have already shown you that there are pneumothorax that happens when an MD does
But
that.
not in Iowa,
technique.
right?
Right,
Okay.
well, if there's 35 practitioners out there, then why are there only 11 that actually send in forms? That's actually kind of embarrassing. But the fact is that you don't have enough acupuncture, you don't have enough dry needling patients yet to cause the harm. When you did that study, that Bradley study, they did 7,000 whatever, they actually estimated that you had to have at least 10,000 treatments before you might have a moderate adverse event. And the research out there is that it can be more, the more people practice, the more you're going to get close to that. Okay? So, and also I did show you the difference in safety. Okay? We can't do it in Iowa because there aren't any studies in Iowa. There aren't any studies in America. But the physical
That's
therapists in Ireland cause twice to 3 times to 10 times more pain and bleeding than the acupuncturists do.
And
So
I
that's actually a
assume
safety issue.
that the people in Ireland are concerned about that. But that doesn't tell me anything about the practitioners in Iowa.
But that's what they use that study. We didn't. We responded to the PT study.
Okay. Anyway, I think my answer.
And then
I got
the other thing actually is really huge, and you actually have a letter from both, I think, 1 or 2 physicians that say this. When a person has an acupuncture technique done on them, and if you can say it's dry needling, whatever, they know that was an acupuncture needle. If it didn't help their leg or their whatever, they are going to say that acupuncture didn't help them. They might, after today, everybody that's going to know dry needling and acupuncture are the same thing. So at some point when somebody's getting dry needling and it doesn't work because they're not trained enough and because they don't know how to do it, then you're going to actually end up harming the patient because they don't seek out care from an actual qualified person. That's like getting your broken leg bandaged by an EMT and you never go to the orthopedic and you don't realize. And trust me, I see that happen in my practice.
Would you agree, though, that that could be said of almost any technique? That if somebody comes and has exercise with me, doesn't really help them, they decide physical therapy doesn't really work? I mean,
Because what we do is unique and very, very, very trademarked, okay? As I've said to people, we were practicing acupuncture before the Magna Carta, okay? We've been practicing it. The moment that anybody has seen an acupuncture needle, until somebody has never seen acupuncture needles and goes in to get PT, dry needling, they know that's an acupuncture needle. Those people, 440 people, all said the same thing to you, okay? And it didn't say that the PTs didn't have any training. It was PTs didn't have any training in doing acupuncture or dry needling. They only had 24 hours. It said doctors of physical therapy or physical therapists. So we weren't assuming in our form that we handed out to people that the PTs don't have any training. We said in the use of acupuncture, okay? And those patients said no. Those people said no. And you have 2 patients from dry needling that actually responded to you guys. So I think that that's a really important thing. People are harmed by the perception. We're harmed by the perception. And most importantly, there's a lot of financial shenanigans that are going around use of insurance code. So we can't get away with it. We have acupuncture on our label, so they know we did acupuncture, right? So financially, those patients are harmed, the system is harmed, and we are harmed. But I think safety-wise, you're opening up a can of worms, and it will get worse, and you will have a lot of people injured. And it will create a bad reputation.
okay.